Hello, all of YouTube out there. This is Goemon Ronan, coming back to you again from my not so local laundromat. Actually, this isn't the nearest one to my house, but the one near my house is so dilapidated now that it's almost like an abandoned building. Like, literally, the owner isn't even there during the day. You just come in and use the place. And, like, pretty much over the last couple of years, everything gradually is getting an out of order sign on it. So there's like 5 machines in this small little laundromat that work all together. So I'm coming to a little better place now. So I want to go ahead and do a video. A lot of you guys realize that this is my second marriage that's ending, and I just wanted to go ahead and do like a list of 10 things that I wish that I had remembered / known about marriage, even though this is my second one. Sometimes, you can look at the same situation through beer goggles the second time, I guess. Anyway, these aren't in any particular order. This is a list. That's it. Okay, so one, age gaps, they matter, okay? They matter a great deal. If you're going to be getting married, I'd really suggest marrying close to your age. Far from your age, that's sex fun, right? Legally, far from your age, of course. Like a 10 or 20-year age gap, that can be a lot of fun. But my wife and I have a 17-year age gap, and I have to say that I don't even recognize her now. She's not even close to the woman I married, to the point where I have issues liking her sometimes. She's changed a great deal. So just kind of keep in mind that you're always going to be that far apart. There's always going to be, even though you're both changing along the way, even it's relative. That age difference is always going to be apparent. It's just kind of how it works in human evolutions. Okay, next, number 2. And this will be in regards to women. I haven't really dealt with another guy like that in a relationship, so I couldn't comment anyway. So number 2, agreements with your wife don't matter in some regards, in most regards. But I'd say in the regards we're talking about is like employment and money and things like that. All right. If you say, hey, I want to take a little while to find a job so I can find a job I enjoy a little bit more, and she says, yeah, that's cool. She expects you to still have a job in 2 weeks. She doesn't really care, dude. Your wife is about surviving, okay? And money needs to come in. So what she really cares about is, she's saying, sure, but the flow of money had better not stop, right? So if you're going to do that, you'd better not quit what you have. You need to, keep money coming in while you look for something else. Just always take any agreement you make with your wife in regards to employment, money, housing, and family with a grain of salt. I at this point don't believe anything she says about those situations. Actions speak a lot louder than words in those regards. Which brings us on to number 3. I personally don't feel that women feel emotions the same way men do, and women have far more control over their emotions. I've never been able to just stop loving anybody. I have never fell out of love with anyone, and I still have a lot of feelings of love and affection for a lot of my ex-significant others and things like that. So to not love somebody anymore, I don't know that I'm capable of that. As the person I am, I certainly know some guys who claim that they don't love someone anymore. The look on their face says differently. Okay, um, you know, love's not a thing that a guy just turns off and on like a woman does. Now, granted, she may have just been out of the relationship longer than you, has already gone through her mourning and grieving period, but to be able to really look you in the eyes and say she doesn't love you anymore, that is not something that I am capable of saying to someone generally. They would have to do something epically terrible to me. Jana has done some just epically terrible stuff in this thing, from my point of view, almost to the level of being evil, and I still love her. So, just guys, don't. She can just the next day she can turn that stuff off, or she can seemingly turn it off. And I've talked to a few women recently, some that I work with, my aunt and stuff like that as well. My aunt's like that too. She says, like, when I'm done with you, that's it. I asked her how can you do that? She doesn't know. She has that ability as a female. It is something you women can do. Men are everybody thinks women are the more emotional critter, but they're not. I think men are. We hide it in some ways a little better maybe, but men are emotional beings, and we don't control them the same way you do. Number 4, consider, and this could work both ways, consider anything that your spouse tells you before marriage to be false. Okay? A lot of times that stuff's to kind of lure you in, and you'll find that it was never the case, or that it just kind of starts to dwindle, you know. So just don't, again, don't pay attention to words as much as actions. I'm with the kind of woman who says a bunch of sweet, nice things to everybody, but she's the type of person who spits her gum right in a parking lot. And, that's not a cool thing to do, on top of a lot of the other things that she's done. And I didn't really get a real pin on all of that before we got married. Some of it, yes. And I tried to nip that in the bud as best I could, but, sometimes, like, a person is just ingrained with certain things, and they can't change easily, I guess. Speaking of change, we come to number 5. People change, and that is not always for the better. A lot of times, people, especially if you have a huge age gap, you got with somebody who was essentially an adolescent when you got together, and now they've grown from being 21 to 28. They are going to be a completely different individual than when they're 28. And that 28-year-old individual may not like you one little bit, especially if you're already a 38-year-old individual at the time. You're kind of settling into who you are and becoming more comfortable with yourself as a person, whereas they're really still trying to figure themselves out. It's just sort of a recipe for disaster. Again, this can work okay if you're just boyfriend and girlfriend, and when it starts working out, not, just don't count on you guys being, compatible the whole time that you're together. Some people, the people who have been married 40 or 50 years, are either cheating on a regular basis, or they have learned to accept the new person that their spouse becomes. And I think that's kind of how you're supposed to do it. Number 6, if you aren't interested in kids, there's really no reason to get married. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, that's pretty much. It doesn't really help your taxes much if you're not making huge amounts of money. It's expensive to medically insure your spouse and everything like that. So again, if I'm fixed, I'm not interested in having kids really. I've got no reason to get married again. But go out with somebody until it quits working out. Sure, and also keep in mind that despite what everybody tells you, look it up. Common law marriage is still allowed in most states. And if one of you's fixed, or you guys have no interest in getting pregnant or having kids whatsoever, but you want to have some form of bond or something like that, just enter into a common law marriage. There are steps to do that. Look them up. When the marriage isn't working out anymore, it's over, and just you guys decide that. So that's going to be the other. If you think that, number 7, if you think you're ready to be married, you'd better be ready to be divorced, because there's a 50% chance it's going to happen. And if you get married again, it's probably going to happen to that marriage too. Statistically, first marriages hardly ever work out. Second marriages, much worse so. Third marriages are done in sometimes like months or a couple of years. Okay. And I'm going to tell everybody out there something a friend of mine told me once, and you can take this however you want. You need to go through every relationship as though you're going to be with somebody else, or at least you need to be prepared to be with somebody else. So you always need to be prepared for that person to leave you, and there's an 80% chance that your wife's going to leave you. 80% of the time, it's women who ask for divorces, women who are dissatisfied, women who end relationships. Okay, look all this stuff up; it's out there. Okay. Number 8, pets are like children. Believe it or not, we have 2 cats. I have had to draw up a visitation contract in order to keep lawyers uninvolved in this divorce and keep it affordable. So if you don't have children but you do have pets, you are probably going to be seeing your SO every few months for pet visitations until they aren't interested in that anymore. Eventually, so you need to write that contract so it has renewal periods in it and expirations in it that require the other person to jump through certain hoops to make sure they're serious about the thing. But probably what's going to happen is once they get a new SO, they're going to just stop visiting anyway, which is why you do the renewal thing every couple of years. Number 9, never marry for a kink. I kind of did that to a certain extent. Just never do that. There are many different blends of this of kink, and Jana and I thought we were here. What it really turned out is I was here and she's kind of more here. Close, but not quite enough of a cigar to make things work for me all the time. So, you had better date for a while and make sure that you're on the same level on that kink before you decide to do anything else there. If not, sometimes you just have to stop doing your kink if it doesn't work for you with that person, and that can make things not work out well, because that might be sort of slightly why you got married in the first place. And number 10, if a woman reminds you of your mother in the negative ways that your mom was, ladies, if a guy reminds you of your father in the negative ways, you might be attracted to that. Both men and women are, for some reason, sort of attracted to that. There's the whole, weird thing in our heads. But the point is, if your SO is starting to remind you of one of your parents, run. That is not who you need to be with. Guys tend to want to be with somebody nurturing, like their mother, and women tend to want to be with somebody who'll take care of them. it makes a little bit of sense, I guess, but at the same time, it just try and find somebody who's a little more separated from that. Trust me, it just works out better. Anyway, this video has gone a little bit long. Hopefully I can still get it on YouTube. Anyway, just would love to hear your comments on these things, guys. Gorman Ronan signing out.